again, and welcome to the Rock is George podcast. I'm your host, George Dion. The Rock is George podcast is now streaming on all major podcasting platforms, including Apple, Google, Spotify, Breaker, Radio Public, and Pocket Casts. But you probably already know that because you're listening on one of those right now. I want to welcome you to episode 10. I have another great interview for you with an up-and-coming band out of Madisonville, Kentucky. Their name is Reverend Jack. They just released their debut studio album, A Mile From Home, on July 9th. The album is a collection of songs that I would say is a little bit of southern rock, a little bit of modern rock. Reverend Jack has opened up for such names as John Five, Foreigner, Damon Johnson. They've shared the stage with members of Cheap Trick, Foreigner, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and more. They brought a bunch of their friends to perform on their debut album, including Joel Hoekstra from Whitesnake and Cher, Alex Skolnik from Testament, Chris Caffery and Chloe Lowry from Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Bruce Watson and Michael Bluestein from Foreigner, Mike Torelli from Holy Mother, and quite a few more special guests. I had the chance to catch up with vocalist Eric Harmon and Reverend Jack lead guitarist Dustin Back to talk to them about the new album and everything that's been going on with the band before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and what they're going to be doing in the future. Here's Reverend Jack. We'll get started with the same question that I ask all the bands that I interview. If I knew absolutely nothing about Reverend Jack, how would you describe the band's music to me?
Well, it's a breath of fresh air. I think it's something that it's a unique blend of, you got 80s rock, you got southern rock, you got modern rock, all kind of mashed together.
I'd absolutely agree with that assessment. You got a little southern rock in there too, I'd say.
We're from Kentucky. We couldn't help it. So.
That's right. You got to throw in that little southern twang and a little bit of harmonica here and there.
Of course, nothing wrong with that.
So the new album is A Mile From Home.
Yeah.
It's released on Resurgence America. This album was delayed, if I read correctly.
Just a little bit because of everything that was going on. Traveling was a little bit difficult.
Oh, so it was just as far as you had planned to kind of put it out sort of in this time frame, and just sort of the COVID thing kind of slowed you down a little bit.
Yeah. Or slowed everybody down.
But it gave us time to get in the studio and get it recorded. You know, we spend so much time on the road that, you know, it's kind of hard to block out time to get in to record in the studio sometimes. So it gave us time to write songs and actually get into a studio versus, you know, playing shows, 4 or 5 nights a week.
Give or take, yeah.
So you guys are from Kentucky, but most of the album is born out of New York. You got New York special guests. You recorded it in New York. Was that sort of a place you really wanted to record, or was it the record company's idea?
Well, we recorded in the same place that we recorded our 3-song EP a few years ago. And it's Joe, our friend Joe. It's Full Force Studios, and we liked him a lot. And we decided that when we went to record the full album, we were going to go back to Joe. You know, familiarity. We liked what Joe did, and Joe does really good work. So
he's great to work with, fun to work with. It's always a blast.
And our management is also based up here and introduced us to Joe.
Okay, and you have a lot of special guest musicians, kind of unusual for a band's first release. So I kind of wanted to ask how that all got thrown into the mix.
Well, usually that's our management just being awesome and you know, doing what they do best. He's very familiar with the music industry. I think he's been in it for the past 25, 30 years. And throughout that, he's just, you know, known a lot of folks. And
he's introduced us to a lot of people.
Yes.
And they were, you know, kind enough to play on the record. They enjoyed it, and we were very excited about that. You know, it's pretty cool for, you know, obviously fans. We're always receptive to fans, and that's always wonderful. But, you know, there is a bit of validation when you have, you know, these A-list musicians that are like, oh yeah, that sounds awesome, I'd love to play on it. So that's always a cool little bit of validation for you.
Gives me chill bumps even just thinking about it. I mean, it's crazy,
Awesome. I'm actually happy for you. Let's talk a little bit about the song. Some artists like to talk about where they were when they wrote the song. Other artists like to leave it up to the listener. You just released Crimson Seed today. If you want to talk a little bit about Crimson Seed.
It was kind of a dark place at the time when I wrote that. And basically it's asking a question. It's asking a question and then turning right around and then giving you the answer. So basically it's asking you a question and then turning right around and giving you the answer. I was talking about like basically what it boils down to, what the world needs is love. Love together. Everybody be together. Quit going against the grain. Quit going against everything. Quit being all negative all the time. That's basically what it's saying. It takes two hearts to have the key. What you find is a mystery. I mean, so.
Absolutely. And you have Alex Skolnik on this from Testament.
Oh, yeah.
Was this a situation where you kind of presented several songs to someone like him and he got to pick which one? He's like, yeah, I think I can work this solo out on this one.
Usually, I think that's what we did with all the special guests. We kind of here, take your pick, or maybe sometimes I think our management had be like, hey, I think he'd be good for this one, and he'd be good for this one. She'd be good for this one. He'd be good for this one.
Yeah, most of the time there's a couple songs that so we we'll discuss with management, and everything we try to do, because our manager's got really good ideas for music. He'll propose stuff to us, or we'll propose stuff to him, and he'll kind of like rebut with an idea that we sit down and think about it, and it works out really well. So generally what would happen is we would talk with him, and we would propose a couple songs to particular artists and see how they felt about them. And that was the one that Alex ended up playing on, was Crimson Seed. And fortunate enough, it was Friday when the album released. We did a live show for our release, and Alex was actually there and played a few songs with us and played Crimson Seed. So that was a pretty cool time.
Oh my God, that was a big moment for me.
You guys have had a lot of opportunity to kind of play with you musical heroes. I've been checking out on YouTube. I mean, Alex Skolnik, probably one of the most underrated guitar players. I saw him live for the first time a couple of years back. I couldn't believe how good he was. But you got to play with guys from Foreigner. You've had other people join you on stage. That must be exciting.
He's a hell of a country picker too.
Yeah, He brought it to Telly, and he was just getting down. Bringing it down.
It was great. I was like, yes.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. We still remember the first show that Bruce and Michael from Foreigner played with us.
The surprise.
It was incredible. Especially as a 4-piece. There are certain times. Obviously, there's the Starstruck element, but as a 4-piece, there's certain times that it's difficult for us to pull off full arrangements of songs. And so who better to play than the guys that play them? And I remember that show, and I'm a huge Foreigner fan myself. So when Bruce and Michael, when it gets to that bridge part where it's heavily keys and it slows down, we don't get to play that. We don't have a keyboard player. I'm usually playing guitar, or if I'm not, I'm just trying to be the best front man I can. But we get to that part, and I just remember Michael hitting those key parts, and it's just like,
It was great.
Because it's just, finally getting to hear the song as you're playing it the way it's meant to be.
Yeah.
And there's just so many cool moments. But that one always sticks out to me. Ironically, playing feels like the first time.
Yeah, it feels like the first time.
So let's talk about Whiskey Fire. Part of my podcast, usually in the middle of the interview, I edit in a whiskey review. So I'm a big whiskey guy, bourbon, rye, all that fun stuff. So what's the story behind that song?
You want the long story or the short story?
I hope it doesn't involve Fireball, because it's not really whiskey.
No, it's not.
The long and short of it is, obviously being from the South, and being from Kentucky, our notable drink is whiskey, right? Bourbon whiskey is kind of what we're known for when it comes to the drinking world. And so, being from the South, I was writing this blues jam, and I'm a bit of a problem drinker. So I figured what better to write about than whiskey. And I'm not much of a whiskey drinker myself, but I felt it was apropos. I think that's most people's poison of choice when it comes to hard drinking. So I just got sober about a year and a half ago. So Whiskey Fire was kind of coming around in that entail of me drinking heavily, and especially like COVID, us being locked down and stuff, and I was just kind of fighting with that. So it kind of came out of me being at the tail end of being a bad drinker and finally getting sober.
Okay. It's still kind of some positive message in there. So obviously your partner here is the whiskey drinker, and you're usually people can't answer the question when I put them on the spot, but what are some of your favorites?
What are some of my favorites? Oh my God.
You're a Jack fan, aren't you?
No. I only drink Jack because it's over there. I like Woodford Reserve. I like Four Roses. I like Bullet Rye. I like.
Do you do Woodford?
I love Woodford, especially
Nice.
especially double oak, even though it's expensive. But I still like it. Oh my God.
Funny. All right. So
No, that was Jim Beam. Though.
was it
that
Jim?
Was Jim
was
Beam.
it Jim Double Oak?
God.
So
man.
for my my bachelor party, we're at my father-in-law's. We had just played a show, and this was many years ago. It was not going well.
No.
We were doing an acoustic show, and essentially the owner said, "Yeah, it's not working," and obviously that hurt my pride a little bit. So it's also my bachelor party, so I started drinking pretty bad. And we get back to my father-in-law and my future father-in-law's and current father-in-law's house, and we're like, "You got anything else to drink?" And he brings out half a full
fifth.
bottle
Half a fifth Jim Beam double oak.
of Jim Beam Double Oak, and we hammered that.
Oh my God.
It was it was a messy night. We'll leave the story there and not go any more details. It was a messy night.
That one's got some teeth on it.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell everybody there's no bad bourbon, whiskey, or anything like that. You can find the good in all of it, and you certainly named some great ones.
It's a little sharp.
Well, yeah, Wild Turkey's got a little bite on it, but Bullet's usually a good go-to. Woodford is just smooth as smooth gets.
Absolutely, and they're really branching out today, so they got a lot of different products that
Absolutely
gonna appeal to everyone.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the double oak of the Woodford, but you can only get it at the distillery.
I was about to say that you probably have to go there. Yeah.
I think
Distillery's in Louisville.
is it in
Outside Louisville, I believe so.
Let's talk about Greed. That's another song you guys have put out. I mean, it's probably self-explanatory, but there's got to be a story behind it.
I mean, it's the most deadliest of the seven sins.
Well, it's the
root of all evil. Yeah, the love of money, the root of all evil. It's exactly very, very self-explanatory. I mean, just as you said, the verses. I mean, especially the second verse. There's people dying on the street that never make the news. I mean, fighting through the tragic heat, and you're left with more than a bruise. So, I mean, deep inside this urge you crave, it's the fuel that drives your best. Luck may save you for the night, but time takes all the rest.
So I'd ask you, was this something that was written pre-COVID or during COVID?
This was something that was written pre-COVID.
I would say no. I'd say it was on the line.
Oh, wait, not lyric-wise, it was pre-COVID, and then it all kind of came together as a song, like kind of around COVID. So, yeah.
Okay. Another song you guys have out there is Forever Town.
Correct, yeah.
So
is that kind of where you grew up, or is it kind of a place you wished upon?
That was actually a song that me and our former bass player Ryan Garrett wrote. We were talking about being on the road. We had just got off a big tour with Jared James Nichols and John Five, and we did an East Coast run with them, and then we did a little bit of a West Coast run with them. Ended up totaling 35 states that we've played from coast to coast, LA to New York. And so that song was just kind of enticing everything, kind of like what it's like, And basically, Forever Town is like a made up. It's like a made up phrase. I was like, come on. I was like, let's come up with something unique, something no one's ever heard before. So I said, Forever Town. He said, what? And I said, yeah, Forever Town. And he goes, because everybody has a forever town that they desire, that they want to go to, that's in their heart, So that's basically what the song is talking about,
Now, these musicians that appear on your album, Phil Richards appears on Forever Town. Did you have the opportunity to meet them, or was this a situation where it was file sharing? And can you help us out?
So Phil's actually a buddy of ours from up in here in New York. So every time we come up here to New York, we hang out with him. So, Phil was one of those guys that's like, we got up here and like, Phil, do you want to come and sing on this song of ours?
Sure.
We eventually prodded him. He was like, man, I don't want to step on your toes or anything. I was like, no. Finally, we pushed him in there and pressed record, and we got him going. But yeah, he's a good buddy of ours.
Yeah. Got a big old strong voice.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that one of your next singles is Summer Vibes. It's got a good feel to it, certainly for this time of year. It features Joel Hoekstra and Mike Torelli of Holy Mother. I think Joel Hoekstra appears on everybody's album this year. I'm not sure, but he's certainly spread himself out.
He works hard, man.
Yeah.
He works hard.
Yeah, God bless, he works hard. Actually, Mike Torelli and Joel Hoekstra together are featured on one of our songs called Keepin' Rock Alive.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
TJ and
TJ Fox and Bruce Watson from Foreigner is on Summer Vibes. So
that's my bad on that one. I was reading the line above and the line down.
I get them mixed up sometimes too, man.
All right, so let's talk about Keepin' Rock Alive then. We'll go there. And obviously an homage to the music scene and the music you guys play.
That one took, honest to God, I'm not gonna lie to you. That one took a complete 180 since I originally wrote the song and then I get it in the studio.
Okay.
So the original title of that song was called Page to Burn. Had complete different lyrics and everything. And then Chris said, "Hey man, I've got an idea." And I was like, "All right, okay, what you got?" And he goes, "So took the music of the original arrangement." And then he said, "Check these lyrics out. I think this will go good with what I've got in mind." And I said, "Okay." And then you hear Mike Torelli on there, which is like a real ballsy kind of David Coverdale kind of really great voice.
Yeah, I had sang over it originally, and it just needed more. My voice is the way it is, and I like my voice, and it's cool. But we wanted it to be more 80s rock, and I just didn't have the compression and the grit, and we're like, we know a guy. I know a guy.
I know a guy
that can make this sound, straight up rock and roll 80s.
And he nailed it. He absolutely nailed it.
Oh my gosh! I remember getting to hear the finished song for the first time. I was like, oh.
I was floored. I was like, man, he's ripping it.
Hey guys, Rock is George here, interrupting the interview for the Rock is George podcast whiskey break. Since the boys and Reverend Jack are from Kentucky, I wanted to feature a fine Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. I picked Elijah Craig, specifically their Toasted Barrel edition, which is Toasted Barrel is kind of a tough bottle to get a hold of. It's starting to get a little more available, but initially it was very tough to get a hold of. Basically, what Toasted Barrel is they take the original Elijah Craig small batch and they age it an additional time in a new customized toasted oak barrel. Elijah Craig has a lot of different editions available now. They used to just basically focus on the small batch and the barrel proof, but they have a rye now, and they've had an 18-year for quite some time. Haven't had a chance to try that. I've tried all of them. Honestly, Toasted Barrel is my favorite, so we're gonna taste it again just to let you know what it's all about. I do like the small batch too. The small batch is really good and affordable and available everywhere. So here's to Kentucky, here's to Reverend Jack. You can smell the oak right off the bat. You can taste the oak, and it's not like super strong, or it doesn't have a burnt flavor to it like some of the toasted oaks. It tastes like it's lightly toasted. The whiskey itself is sweet. If you're a newer bourbon whiskey drinker, this is on the lighter side. I don't think you'll need to mix it with anything. You could drink it straight up like I do. That's how I drink all my whiskey. You could pour it over ice. Probably be a good summer sipper. I like the aftertaste. A lot of caramely, toasty warmness to it. So definitely highly recommend. If you can't get your hands on the toasted barrel, get yourself the small batch. You'll be just as pleased. And if you can get your hand on the rye, want to go a little bit on the wild side, want to put a little rye spice in there, get your hands on the rye. It was one of the top 10 bourbon whiskeys of 2020. So now I take you back to Reverend Jack.
So how did you guys get together as a band?
Oh, wow. That was, well, we've known each other for 7, 8 years now.
About 7 years, yeah.
But yeah, so back up about 7 years ago. I'm in Guitar Center. I'm in Guitar Center, just jamming around, just kind of BSing around. And he walks in, and then we kind of made an initial contact, but we didn't say anything. We just kind of did the little nod, hey, what's up, kind of thing. And then it wasn't him that came up to me; it was his mother that came up to me. Because he's more,
I have severe social anxiety.
He's very introverted when it comes to kind of like starting a conversation. Where it's so funny, we're so polar opposites, it's not even funny. I'm extremely extroverted, he's extremely introverted.
As you can tell, he's definitely the talker of the two of us.
But so his mother just immediately comes up. I think after he said some kind of comment about my playing or something like that.
He was playing Whitesnake. He was playing Still the Night. I'm a huge Whitesnake fan. So, and obviously, another bonus that Joel's on the album.
Absolutely, yes. But yeah, I was playing Still the Night. He comes up right by my good ear, and just starts wailing on, just starts singing it, and I mean nailing it, note for note, lick for lick, and I was like, I just kind of turned my head and I said, no way this kid is my age and loves the stuff I love. I said,
I'm not his age, I'm younger.
Yeah, or close to my age. Jesus, dude, come on, man, don't tell everybody. But so I was really floored by that. Just like I was like, man, this kid's into good stuff. So I was like, cool. So I mean, at that point, I didn't really think too much of it, and I was like, so I just kind of went out. And then his mom came up. She's like, oh my God, you gotta hear my son. Oh my God, you gotta hear my son. And I was like, okay, whatever you say.
My mom was very proud.
But she's very upfront. Extremely proud, very upfront, proud mother. And so I said, okay, it's fine. So me and him, he's actually in the acoustic room, so I just walk in the acoustic room, and it's just me and him and an acoustic, and here we are.
Nice.
We started playing, and then he started singing. I was like, okay, this kid's got some pipes. And then
we tried to get together. Like we were rehearsing, and so he was bringing in. Me and my mom were living in this small little house in Owensboro. And he was bringing in a 100-watt.
I had a boogie at the time.
Yeah, Mesa rectifier.
With a 412.
With a 412.
That's all I had.
Into my living room. And I don't think I even had an amp yet. So I had a stereo system. And I don't know if you know the game Rocksmith.
Yes, yeah.
So I was literally just playing through like amps on Rocksmith through a PA system that I had set up as a stereo.
Oh, it was funny.
Yeah, it was an interesting time, but we ended up getting some opportunities, and we couldn't get it together at the time. He later on forms the bassist of Reverend Jack. I think it was Nemesis at the time.
Yeah.
He calls me and he goes, "Hey, I need a singer. You're my first guy." And I was like, "Fuck it, I'm in."
Did you always want to do originals? Did you start off as a cover band?
Well, I mean, it's always the necessary evil.
Yeah.
You have your ultimate goal in mind, which is to be an all original act. But of course, the necessary evil, everybody done it. The Stones done it, the Beatles done it, Van Halen done it, Aerosmith done it, everybody done it. They get into clubs and they play top 40 charts. Yep. But what they do, they kind of like basically Van Halen would play like big college parties and all of a sudden you'd be like, I want you to want me, and then all of a sudden, throw in then they throw in their originals, that's kind of and then you just take it up. And then that's exactly what we done. I mean, of course, we played the necessary evil, so to speak. But I mean, it was more or less tunes that we grew up on and love, and of course, maybe some tunes that we don't love, but everybody else wants to hear. So
something like Play That Funky Music.
That one.
Every time we do an acoustic show, and I start playing Wagon Wheel, I can just hear the rest of the guys around me groan. Man, I grew up in Kentucky. I had to know this song.
Yeah.
I started playing acoustic music in Kentucky around the time that song came out. If you didn't know that song, you were gonna get booed off stage.
Nope.
How did you get your deal with Resurgence America?
Sheer luck.
Yeah, I personally, I don't know about you, but I've had personally a lot of people ask me, how'd you do it? You too as well?
All the time.
Wow. How'd you do it? How'd you do it? What do I got to do? How do you do it? And I said, honest to God, I'm not beating around the bush. It was literally right place at the right time.
Yeah, it always is.
We were in Louisville at the Bourbon Hall.
Yep.
We had there was a mutual friend of ours, his name, Petey. Yep.
Petey Compton.
Petey Compton. He's kind of a local dude around Louisville, kind of helping bands, kind of helping bands out, booking them here, booking them there, booking them here, booking them there. And he booked us actually a pretty good show at the Bourbon Hall. It was a showcase. It was us. God, what was the other band? I can't think of the other band's name.
Oh, it's been so long now.
Cool.
I can't.
They were opening. We were headlining. And which was odd because we were the out-of-towners.
Yeah.
And they were the ones that brought the crowd. So we were the out-of-towners. They were the ones that brought the crowd. We brought like 10 people. We brought like 10 people with us. And then, of course, the 30 to 40 that they brought. So it was about 50 people in there in a 1,200 seater club. So, I mean, yeah. So you get the picture. But I will say this. It sounded incredible in there, and it looked incredible in there. The lights and PA were slamming. I mean, it sounds absolutely unreal. So story goes is that Foreigner flew in, and it was a night off. So all the crew guys are separate from the band guys at different hotels, and then our manager, among two other members of the crew, said, "Hey guys, we've got a night off. Let's go get a drink, have some fun." So the story goes, they were walking down the street right outside the Bourbon Hall, and I think it was Terry that put his ear up to the door while we were playing. And he's like, no way. They walk in, only open to stay for one drink and one song. They had many drinks and stayed the whole night. And then at the end of the night, I'm always the one that walk out there. Oh, thank you so much. Hey, don't forget to follow us. I mean, just going out there doing my spiel and things like that. And with everybody, thanking everybody for coming out. And so I walk over to them because they look like the most sophisticated people in the building. They look very kind of a little bit high class. So I said, they kind of look important. So I went over there and talked to them. Sure enough, they were. One of them is now our manager. So it's been our manager. And at first, when he was talking kind of serious about it, I was like, doubts.
Yeah.
But then when he said things and then things started happening, like we get plane tickets to go to New York, then all of a sudden, like we're rehearsing one night and he's there in Madisonville at our door. I'm like, whoa, okay, this is real. This is happening. This is real. I mean, pinch. I mean, but after that, it was just a steamroller. It is a nonstop bullet train steamroller, if that makes any sense. I mean, it was just like go, and that's how it's been. I mean, we played several shows that we got open for several different bands. One of the coolest shows we played, I'll never forget. We played Live on the Lawn when we opened up for All That Remains was the main act. 10 Years was there. Shaman's Harvest was there. And another band that we actually befriended, became really good buddies with, Mojo Rose. They were out of Clarksville, Tennessee. Unfortunately, they're no longer together, but they were a cool bunch of guys. But that was about 1,000 people out there, man. And it was
the other LA.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about my bad. See, it's been so long.
It's been a while.
It's been so long.
It's been a while.
But, and oh, my God. I'll never forget this. It was October. And it was about 93 degrees, and I'm up there in leather.
A bit of a sad fact about that show. That was actually Ollie's last show before he passed.
Yeah.
Okay.
lead guitarist of All That Remains.
Yeah.
I did get to hang out with him for a little bit and take a picture with him.
Super friendly dude.
Very friendly. You can tell
Super
he's
friendly.
very, very intelligent. He's just walking around with his guitar, just sitting there, just warming up, running scales. And I was, just sitting there talking to him. He's super nice, but very calm, kind of focused on what he's doing. So, I mean, yeah, it was very unfortunate. I was fortunate that we got to see him. It was unfortunate what happened later.
Right.
But after that, I mean, everything was just, just kind of like, okay, step up from that. Okay, step up from that. Okay, step up from that. Okay, by the way, hey, guess what? You're opening for Foreigner in an arena.
Yeah.
Step up from that. Oh, by the way, hey, you're going on a 30-day tour with Jared James Nichols and John Five. Step up from that.
Now you're gonna go on tour with Foreigner.
And now you're gonna go on tour with Foreigner and do arena back to back with him. So step up from that. I mean,
Nice.
It literally did not stop. It hasn't stopped it.
And then COVID.
And then COVID. Yeah.
That's everybody's story, but it's good to hear that the business still kind of works like that because everybody seems to be an internet star today and doing
Yeah.
everything on their own. And you guys kind of doing that classic start from the bottom, get discovered by somebody in the business and working your way up. I mean, I think that's actually great that still kind of getting back to the roots there.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the so when you think about the record label, Resurgence America, it's a resurgence of the old school way of things.
Yeah.
Is there a real Reverend Jack that the band name was based off of?
No.
No, totally
That-
random.
It's actually one of our former when the name was originally Nemesis, which I love that name. I thought it was a great name. It's a one word. It's got a lot of power. It rolls off the tongue real good. It's a Greek goddess. I was like, oh my God, there's so many different angles with this, and so many different artwork that you can go with it. I was like, it's a great name. I still got the big banner that I made for it. It looks awesome. But
Main crown.
yeah, so so I did a little Google search to make sure, I was like, well, let me make sure that we're the only one. Nope.
No, of
8.
course not.
There's about 7 or 8 others. So I was like, oh God. So I was like, okay, crap, name change. So I think we heard. Yeah, were you in at this time or not?
No, you had just changed names.
Okay. So Eric wasn't in the picture yet. So then we got done with rehearsal one time, and our former bass player said, "Dude, what about Reverend Jack?" I said, "Huh? What was that? Say it again. Keep saying it. Keep saying it. I like it." So he just kept on saying it, and just kept on ringing with me, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's perfect." I mean, first it sounds like a character, but I was like, man, it also kind of tells where we're from because it has kind of that southern kind of attitude to it. So I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. Come to find out, it's actually from an old video game that his friend back home in Norway plays. So I was like, all right. So I mean, we just kind of took it and ran with it. And then one of our singles on our EP is called "Bullet with Your Name." Bullet Man of God and More, excuse me. And it basically tells the story of Reverend Jack.
So coming from Boston, I have to ask you about the font of Reverend Jack. It looks a little similar to the Boston Red Sox. You guys secret Red Sox fans?
It is close. It's actually a little bit of a spin-off of the Los Angeles, I believe.
I don't remember.
I think
it's a custom font.
It's a custom font, but it's kind of a spin-off of the Hells Angels a little bit.
Oh yeah, that too.
I doubt he's a Red Sox fan because he doesn't know anything about sports. I'm a San Fran fan.
Oh, okay. Well, we got.
The reason why I don't pay attention to sports is because the best players are either dead or don't play anymore.
Yeah, I haven't followed sports since the 90s myself. I know the Red Sox are better than San Francisco, but
Hey, you can't argue with 4 championships, man. You can't argue with it.
all right, you guys are back out on the road. I saw you had a couple of dates over the last week. How's that going?
Whew,
Slowly working up back to speed.
Yeah,
you know.
we're slowly getting to recharge the batteries. It's been pretty relentless, but the experiences that we've had up here and the people that we've met, the shows that we've done, places that we've been, it's always a blast. It's always a good time.
It's been a full week so far. We're gonna get back home. We gotta do. Obviously we did our record release, our album release up here. It's where we recorded it. We have a lot of friends up here, but we're gonna go back home. We've got an album release back home, and then we're gonna start working back up to where we left off. That's the plan, I guess.
That's all I have for you today. I want to thank you both for being on the Rock is George podcast. I think I learned a lot today.
Well, thank you for having us. Yeah. By the way, if anybody wants to know, you can always go to www.reverendjack.com. It's as simple as that, just our name. Everything's on there, pictures, bio, links, merch, anything and everything Reverend Jack is on reverendjack.com. Don't forget, check out our brand new album. It is available on all streaming platforms and AMI jukeboxes as well. Hopefully getting on a touch tune soon enough, but they're just being so, but anything, everything Reverend Jack is available, www.reverendjack.com.
Yeah, and you can always follow us on Spotify. Anytime we release something, if you follow us on Spotify, it'll pop up.
I want to thank Reverend Jack for taking the time to appear on the Rock is George podcast. You can check them out at reverendjack.com. Be sure to stream or purchase their new album, A Mile From Home. It's out now on Resurgence America. That was episode 10 of the Rock is George podcast. Rock music, whiskey, nostalgia, pop culture. It's a podcast that's ever evolving. I know we've been focusing a lot on the music, but we're going to get to other subjects as we progress. I know we are. We've covered movies and we've spoken to an actress and a director. We're going to be doing more of that. We're going to have a full whiskey episode coming up. I have interviews already lined up for future episodes. We got a lot of content. We're just trying to push it all out there. I want to thank you for tuning in again. You've been great. I've been George Dion. I'll see you again soon.